Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. Prime Minister Hani al-Mulki launched the Guera Solar Energy Plant in Guera District in Aqaba Governorate. The kingdom's largest photovoltaic power station, which is worth $120 million and has a capacity of 103 megawatts, was financed through a grant by Abu Dhabi Fund for Development. The power station will provide sufficient power for 51 housing units. At the launch ceremony, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources, Saleh Kharabshe, said the project, along with other current projects, already contribute to 8% of Jordan's electrical power, while by 2020, he pointed out that contracted projects will provide the kingdom with 20% of its total power needs. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates Ayman al-Safadi and his British counterpart Boris Johnson underscored deep ties between the two countries and ways to boost economic, investment, defense and security cooperation. During a meeting in London, the top diplomats also highlighted the outcome of discussions between His Majesty King Abdullah and Prime Minister Theresa May during her visit to Jordan last November. Safadi and Johnson also discussed the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and the need to step up efforts to end the political stalemate and push the peace process forward on the basis of the two-state solution. The meeting also discussed Syria, where both saw eye to eye on the need to find a political solution to Syria based on UN Resolution 2254. In Gaza, a funeral procession was held for a Palestinian journalist who was shot by Israeli forces while covering a protest along the Gaza-Israel border nearly 2 weeks ago. Witnesses said 24-year-old Ahmed Abu Hussein worked for Gaza's Al-Sha'ab radio station and wore a protective vest marked press at the protest on April 13th when he was shot. He was the second journalist killed by Israeli gunfire since the start of weekly Friday protests on March 30th, while his death raised to 38 the number of Palestinians killed in the protests near the border. In international news, 72 countries meeting in Paris over means to collectively halt financing of militant groups agreed to an integrated approach to countering terrorism. In a final statement, they said they would step up their collective involvement in the fight against financing of militant individuals, groups, undertakings and entities associated with Daesh Group and Al-Qaeda. They also committed to reinforcing information sharing, fighting anonymous financial transactions, and enhancing the traceability and transparency of non-profit organizations and charitable funds. Russia said it does not see any room for changes or additions to the Iran nuclear deal. Russia's foreign ministry spokeswoman said Moscow was seriously concerned by the U.S. and French president's comments on the deal. U.S. President Donald Trump had said that Iran would face bigger problems if Tehran restarts its nuclear program and called the nuclear accord with Iran insane. The EU's diplomatic chief, Federica Mogherini, meanwhile, insisted that the current Iran nuclear deal was working and needs to be preserved. She added that the deal was essential for European security. The two Koreas look set to end their decades-long conflict as they meet tomorrow for their first summit in more than a decade. North Korea's Kim Jong-un is to cross the heavily militarized border tomorrow for a summit with South Korean President Moon Jae-in that is to set the stage for Un to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump in late May or early June. The two neighbors expect to release a joint statement, possibly called the Panmunjom Declaration, that could address denuclearization and peace and an improvement in relations. And in robotics, and what is considered the first ever accomplishment in its history, Japanese engineers unveiled a robot that transforms into a car that can actually carry people on board. The 3.7-meter tall two-seater robot, J-Date Ride, can transform into a sports car in a process that takes about a minute. It can technically walk at a speed of 100 meters per hour or run on its four wheels, but developers said they've never really tested it outside the factory cargo bay area. The robot is an attempt to inspire others and broaden the human imagination. Developers said they will begin with utilizing the technology in entertainment industry, such as amusement park and street parades. In tonight's sports, we feature a Japanese warrior doing street workout. At 62 years, Zhu Eishi can be seen perfecting his skills on the iron pole or rings at the outdoor gym in a Tokyo park 4 times a week. Last year, he took part in Street Workout Japan National Championship as the oldest competitor. Eishi, who has been doing similar workouts since he was a teenager, said he loves the sport because it gives him the opportunity to interact with the younger generation who provide him with the motivation to continue. He wants to still be able to do a flip on the iron pole well into his 90s. What a true inspiration for the rest of us. And finally, a look at the weather forecast. Unstable weather conditions will continue to affect the kingdom tonight and tomorrow. Relatively cold weather with thunder showers and hail are expected to continue tomorrow noontime and in the afternoon, while winds will be westerly moderate. Amman can expect a high of 21 degrees Celsius and a low of 13 degrees, while in the Gulf of Aqaba it will be warm with daytime highs of 28 degrees, dropping down to 20 at night. With this, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Dana Abu Sham. Thanks for watching and have a good night.